Join the Breakfast Flight Show every Monday and Tuesday with SharkyDJ and HPQ with the alternative news. Question mark, sugar sweet. Gosh, everyone's on this morning. Adelaide, good morning, everybody. I hope everyone is fine. The sun is shining today. Is that why you've got the yellow backdrop up today?
Oh, yes, definitely.
I thought you loved the red, but yeah. But anyway, I hope everyone is fine and well. I've been listening to the news this morning. I've been hearing the stories about you talking about the woman leaving her daughter
Yeah,
in a hotel
terrible.
while she was going out partying. Just reminds me of Madeleine McCann all over again.
I was going to say that, but I thought I'd leave you to say. It's not a laughing matter, I'm telling you. Some
No,
people, for the sake of alcohol and the sake of having fun.
I read also about a woman that left her. She was from America though. She left her
Mm.
5-year-old um, at home while she went off on holiday. And they found the child quite dehydrated, malnourished, in a cot with all sorts of things in, and
Just not on, is it?
no, and I just didn't think it was Monday morning news, so I thought I thought I'll leave that one. But yeah, there's a lot of people that leave their children that are got issues. You just don't leave your children at home. You just don't, and I don't know if those people deserve to have children, or maybe they just need a lot of help. And that woman sounds like she's a raging alcoholic, but
Sounds like it.
yeah, to take their daughter on holiday and just to leave her in a hotel is just not on. Anything could
Mm.
happen, really anything. But yeah. But
Luckily
funny
that there
enough,
was some good tourists that were looking after her daughter. I mean, they even had to buy her armbands and stuff for her to go swimming. And what's the point of taking the daughter on holiday? She might as well put her in a home if she's going to do that.
I know.
Not that it's the best thing, but you know.
Yep. Yes, per lady. Why people have kids is the question. Well, because we are incubators for life, aren't we? But some people take the role seriously and others don't. Others are equipped for it and others definitively aren't.
Mm.
It didn't say that everybody who can produce children can be a good mother, just as we don't get good fathers, unfortunately. Would love to say that every mother is lovely and looks after their kids. We wouldn't have foster cares and care homes and all these sorts of things if we had good parenting. But
Mm.
we all know that the world needs some different teaching in terms of parenting, education, and whatever's going on in the world right now. I'm telling you, watching the news and trying to get news feeds is quite difficult unless you are just commenting upon crazy news like what's happening in France.
Mm.
So the situation in France at the moment is actually incredulous because it's now moving over into the UK. The Algerians are just not having it, are they?
You know, I tell you, it's. I mean, if it comes over here and we have to put up with that, I mean, for what reason? What's the reasons? I mean, I haven't really been following up what's been happening in France. I know there's been riots, but what's actually been happening?
So there's a 17-year-old by the name of Nahel M. And basically, in this account that I'm going to read off here, the passenger, who was a teenager, said the
Mm.
officers hit the person with the butts of their guns 3 times, causing him to take his foot off the brake of the car. Um, let's have a look. No, that's it. Sorry. Well, this is what the prosecutors say what happened. They say two policemen spotted a Mercedes with a Polish plate number driving fast in a bus lane.
Hmm.
Turning on their siren, the police officers caught up with the car and at a traffic light, and 3 young men were inside. Now, the officers told the driver to stop, but the vehicle pulled away, ignoring the red light, and the officers gave chase and notified the unit by radio. Now, the Mercedes stopped in heavy traffic. Both officers got off their motorcycles, drew their weapons, and approached the car. Um, they later told prosecutors that they pointed their guns at them to deter him from driving away again. They asked the driver to turn off the ignition, but the car moved forward. One of the officers fatally wounding the young man in the chest. Now, the teenager turns around and says that when the officers came up to the car, obviously the car was still running. The officer hit the teenager with his gun several times over the head, causing him to take the foot off the brake, and the car moved forward. And then obviously he shot the guy thinking that he was trying to get away. So the car ran into a roadside barriers. Another one of the passengers was arrested and another fled on foot.
Wow. I'll tell you what, with police officers, I know they've got a tough job, and they have to do their job in stopping people, but sometimes you feel that they think that they can do what they want when they stop people. I mean, there's a amount of force that you use. Point the gun at them, whatever it is, or shoot at the tires or whatever. But you don't have to kill somebody. You don't have to shoot at somebody. I just don't get it with some of these officers, and I think there's this ego thing that they have where they feel that they have the right, just because they put that uniform on, that they can treat people as how they feel.
I think police officers have a very tough job because you just don't know what's going to be in a car if you approach them. You know, we all think that people could be totally innocent, but there are people that walk around with weapons and guns,
Yeah.
and you have to defend yourself at all times. I get that.
Hmm.
But the shoot to kill policy is what offends me. I don't
Yeah.
know why you have to shoot someone to kill them. You could shoot to deter. You could shoot them in the leg. You could shoot them in the arm. You could shoot them
Yeah.
in the hand, where you would probably physically hurt them, but you wouldn't kill them.
Yeah.
So this killing is unacceptable and it's not right and it needs to stop. And if
Yeah.
the officer is not in fear of his life, like what Jack's Happy is saying, then that gun should not be drawn whatsoever.
Definitely
Because
not.
can we say, if we started to carry guns, could we say we've got that same right? If we felt threatened by a police officer, can we shoot them and turn around? And I suppose this is the law in America, the shoot to defend yourself. The police have that right. The American citizens have that right. And yet there's this grey area about what's right or wrong. And I think guns is just one of the most awful inventions that we've had,
Yeah.
as well as nuclear bombs, right? Because it's just insanity. Um, I don't know. I work in police stations, you know, and I often walk into police stations, you'll just see pure white officers. There's hardly any sergeants, black sergeants, any black officers in there. And some white people get trigger happy, baton happy, violence happy,
Taser happy.
taser happy, even, you know. So it's a hard task. And the French police remind me of the American police. You know, the French have quite a number of slum areas where the North Americans go to, and they're treated absolutely ridiculously down there. They're treated with no respect. They're given the worst treatment. So we can understand the frustrations of the Algerians. It's probably not the first time it's happened. It's probably been going on a long time.
Yeah. Sad, really. Concerning that it's coming here, I can't understand why would it be coming here.
Well, because we've got a number of Algerians here and people want to protest. I mean, it's a bit like Black Lives Matter with George Floyd. What happened
Yeah.
over there, it came to London, didn't it?
Yeah.
It actually went viral and went all around the world. So when people have an outpouring of feelings
Hmm.
and they feel for their brothers and sisters, may it be 1,000 miles away, they're going to join together.
Yeah. I agree with Stephen. Mafia in uniform. Definitely.
Listen, you know, sometimes I think I was watching it and I was like, why don't we come out like that? You know, why don't we come out in those? They came out in some great numbers as
Yeah.
well. If you saw the parades down the street, we only had that in Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
We need that in every other situation there is going on. And one of the posts that I actually saw, just changing it ever so slightly, was I cannot remember his name. He's going viral on the underground Instagram and TikTok, and he was a young man that was arrested and jailed, and he did his jail sentence, and then he was released. And for 18 months, he was a model citizen. He wasn't arrested. He was on license, didn't put a foot wrong, met up with all these parole and probation programs. Then what happened some 18 months later? The police came to his house and told him that he's going back to jail. You know why?
Wow.
Because they messed up his parole papers. 18 months later, they discovered this. His friend is on Instagram going absolutely crazy at the moment, saying it's not fair because England, I think he was in jail in Scotland. England signed off the paperwork, but Scotland didn't. So through paperwork, he's going to have to go back to jail. The guy's just got a job. He's going to lose his job because of this. And there's nothing that anyone can actually do. And
That's
I
really
think
sad.
it's really, really sad because I think if you've paid your debt to society and you really are turning a corner, I strongly believe that you should be allowed to do so and get the help to actually achieve that, you know, not take it away from them.
And that's this country for you. I think if they make the mistake, and he's living his life and he's lived good, and they make this mistake, they should have gone on his 18-month reputation of good behavior and let him, you know, even if they want to put him on license outside, but if he's got a job and he's, why take it all away? Why?
Because
I just don't get it.
we have a stupid situations where there's more procedure rules over common sense. Common sense will tell you they messed up the paperwork. He's been out. He's not done anything. Do the paperwork anyway in the back scenes.
Yeah,
But no, that just can't happen. They want to spend taxpayers' money, put this guy in jail, and then spend more money getting the paperwork correct.
terrible. Jack's Happy says, unless you're in fear for your life, there's no need to kill someone. Per Lady says, France is a boiling pot anyway. Why would it come here when ours are killed by them? No other country gets involved. Absolutely. Sared says, power trip police. I definitely agree with that one. Per Lady says, these countries laugh at the UK because they do not wear guns. And Perlet said we haven't done that since the riot. Stephen says we don't do it here. One reason why we give them another excuse to be harmful to black people or people of colour. Perlet says disgusting. Probation, prison, courts are a joke. I work in the system. Pure young fools are employed now who don't know the job.
No.
And that's absolutely how it goes. She's absolutely correct.
And I don't want to talk about this story too much because I'm going to do a whole show on this.
Yeah.
And it needs a whole show. And I can
Yeah.
understand why there's some tensions with France and some of its African nation colonies, because France is raping Africa so significantly, it's not even funny. I found a story and I did some research to see if it's true. And I was astounded to see that it's actually true. And basically, the former French colonies have to pay a colonial debt to France. And France takes 500 billion from Africa consistently in
Like
terms
they
of the
did
French
with Haiti.
colonies that they've got there. The French can automatically confiscate the African country's national reserves. And the African nation countries must deposit its national monetary reserves into a French central bank.
Yeah.
Now, France has held the national reserves of 14 African countries since 1961. That's Benin, Burkina Faso, Ivory Coast, Mali, Niger, Senegal, Togo, Cameroon, Central African Republic, Guinea, Equatorial Guinea, Chad, Congo, and Gabon. And 80% of the foreign reserves of these African countries are deposited into operations accounts controlled by the French Treasury. 80%. Okay?
Yeah. It's horrible when you look into the history of what the French have done. I mean, look into Haiti as well while you're on that journey of finding out information.
Yeah, France holds nearly 500 billion of African countries' money in its treasury and will do anything to keep it. And moreover, Africa has no access to this money. France only gives them access to 15% of that money in any given year. And if they need more than that, they have to borrow at commercial rates from the remaining 85% from their own money. So I'm not going to talk about this anymore because I was very angry when I was reading it, and I'm getting even more angry now reading it now. Just go and do some research on the French ownership of some of these African nations, the money that they hold in the African treasuries, and their little access that Africa has to its own money.
Yeah. And on that note, okay.
Oh, I was just trying to get something up on the screen to show you guys because I had to actually try and work out if it was true or not. But basically, anyone can get a title. So if you want to be a lord or a lady, you can be. Now, to show you what I'm talking about. So basically, if you want the title of lord or lady, do you know you can buy yourself a title? Did you know that?
Yes, I think I remember from back in the days. Yeah, you could buy that title.
Yeah, so you can become a lord or a lady for less than £40, and it's a legal document, but it's not legal as in terms that you can actually buy any land or ownership of the actual land. Now, there's a website called lordstitles.co.uk, and it offers an English lordship and a ladyship. And there's one for couples as well, lady and lord as well. They've got in tune with the agenda. I've seen. Now, each purchase comes with 5 square foot of the Hogan Manor Estate, a beautiful country bolt hole somewhere in the north, and you can get a legal title deed, meaning you can officially call yourself a lord or a lady.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, the website actually says within most legal jurisdictions, should you wish to change your honorific title to lord or lady, then you can change this at any time, provided you do not intend to deceive or defraud person. Sorry, so many P's, or purport your title to be a peerage. How many P's is there? And you can use the title on your debit and credit cards if you like. And such as stationery, ticket reservation, and things like that. So you can do it. So guess what HPQ has done?
You bought one.
I am a lady. I am now Lady Alison Thomas. I bought myself one. I'm going to change my cards and have my title as Lady Alison Thomas. So I'm now lady. I own 5 square feet of the Hogan estate. This is my digital certificate. I'm waiting for my official certificate to come through. And I'm going to start demanding, I don't identify as a lady, I am a lady. So there's my official certificate. I own 5 square feet of the Hogan estate. I am now Lady Alison Thomas. So if you please, everybody, address me as Lady HPQ now. I am a lady. For those who haven't seen it, it's official. Lady Alison Thomas. There's the crest and everything. It's an official document. I am a lady. It's official. It's absolutely brilliant. I'm going to change my credit. I kid you not. Today, I'm going to be going in and saying, could I be known as Lady Alison Thomas? So when I'm putting on ticket sales, everything, it's going to be Lady Alison Thomas. I'm going to use it. Yes. Yes, Stephen Henry. Yes. Yes. Oh, that's tickled your fancy. Play a track. Play a track. Play a track.
Certificate. Lady Alison Thomas. Let me ask you a serious question. Are you?
Yeah.
Is that for real?
It's actually
for real?
It's actually for real. It really is. It really is.
Okay.
Because if I research on stories, I've got to find out if it's true or not. Find out if the proof is really in the pudding. So I bought myself a certificate,
Okay.
and I'm now known as Lady. I mean, obviously, I can't go to venues and say I'm Lady. Of Lady Alison of Wolverhampton. I can't do that. But yeah, I can use it as to change my name on my credit cards. I can legally probably change my name to Lady Alison Thomas as well as this, as a title holder. I own 5 square feet of Hogan Estate.
They're gonna ask you, when you travel now, why you're not traveling in first class. You got to go in first class now, right?
Well, I'm gonna put Lady and see what happens, how people treat me afterwards. I'm just it's a little test as well. I'm going to be changing all my credit cards, everything. I'm doing it today, changing my name. No word of a lie. Can you stop laughing, please? Can you stop laughing? Listen, whilst you're laughing and can't cope with the fact that I'm a lady, okay? Some other news on, okay? Now this is for the ladies in the chat. Some aesthetics for your eyes. I found this the other day. Now this is called At Black's Menswear. Now, I don't know if anyone's seen them on their Instagram or Facebook or on Twitter, but they are a group of American black men that dress immaculately. I mean, they have some Savile type rose suits, but not just Savile Row type suits. They are eclectic, they are bright, they are beautiful, they fit so well. So enjoy this from Black's Menswear that came to London. And this is what they actually did. They caused a fuss. These are some sharp
Good morning,
suitors.
good morning. Welcome everybody. We're out here in London. The Black Menswear team has been from Melanie Keys for our first ever London flash mob. Really excited to be out here. we're bringing a little change to Savile Row, but we're gonna bring the drip regardless. Us U.S. boys are here in London with the Mandem.
One day, some of the kids from the neighborhood carried my mother's groceries all the way home.
Those
You know
suits
why?
look quite nice, don't they?
It was out of respect.
Look at that.
Oh, I like that one.
4, 3, 2, 1, and
Come on now. I mean, if people said that black people aren't sharp or don't have style, there's not very many people that can say that. We have an immense amount of style. And you know what? We can carry color. That's one thing black people can do, is carry an inordinate amount of color and make it look good. From the African wear and prints that we see to just some of the designs. I mean, you saw the outfit that my sister wore to I've got to shout her out about this, to Ascot. She looked absolutely amazing. I'm gonna try and find the photo of my sister when she went to Ascot. She looked phenomenal. Try and find it later on in the show. But those black men, I love seeing a well-dressed man. And those men were well dressed. They took time in their appearance, the way that they put themselves together, and the way that they carry themselves is what I like to see black men exude. Absolutely 100% fantastic. And I'm sure the others. Per Lady said in a suit. And she said nothing sweeter than seeing a black man in a suit. Yes, definitely. And especially when there's so many of them and they carry it off well, to see them all together, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Super impressed. Super impressed.
They look sharp. They look sharp.
They do. They're extra sharp. Now, some people are foolish, aren't they?
Why? What's happened?
Well, some people just, I don't know what their thought process is when they go out and do stuff, because anyway, Italian police are investigating after a tourist was filmed carving names into a wall at Rome's Colosseum.
Oh, wow. That is foolishness.
So the incident was filmed by another visitor who verbally reprimanded the man before handing the recording to security officials. Now, that amphitheatre on this Colosseum where this guy was putting his name on is nearly 2,000 years old and is Italy's most popular tourist site. And this man decided that he would scrawl his name and carve his name into the wall. I think it was Haley loves something else. Into the wall of the Colosseum, or something that's sacred and 2,000 years old. Why would you do that?
Why?
I don't know.
That's definitely a prison sentence.
I don't know.
Some people are so silly, honestly.
It's like going into Bethlehem and trying to go into and carve your name, I don't know, with the 100 Lord prayers that you can see. Yeah, some people got no sense. But do you want to see the people that did it?
Yeah, why not? Show it to us.
Are you interested in seeing the people that did it?
Yes, definitely. Let's have a look.
Let's have a look and see. I'm so glad that there are
for
some
those of you
races.
on radio, we're just showing a video of this carving. So here we go. Oh, stupid. They do look like they're British tourists.
They are British tourists.
Terrible. Only the Brits say.
They'll probably be banned from travelling to France ever again.
France or Italy?
Italy, sorry. I've got France on the brain.
Yeah.
They'll probably be banned from travelling there ever again, and so they should.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that people should leave some things sacred.
Yeah.
For sure.
Definitely. No words, really. I do hope they get caught, but hey, and you wonder why sometimes people don't like the British. But you know what? It's in all cultures. We have stupidness and stupidity.
We do, unfortunately. That's the world we live in. And that's what Pale Lady says. That's why Europe is about banning the British tourist, because the British tourist has come somewhat synonymous with drunken behaviour and lager loutish behaviour as well. Look at Ibiza. Ibiza's turned a corner in terms of how they're promoting their island, and they don't want drunken behaviour to come on and loud music and
Same
so
thing
they
with. Sorry, go on.
and limiting the amount of drinks that you can have in all inclusives, and a few other countries have now
Yeah,
taken
same
this
thing in
stance
Iron
as
Apple. I
well.
was gonna say it's the same thing.
They
You
did the
know.
same thing in the Netherlands. Remember, you used to go to the red light district and be able to smoke
Yeah.
cannabis in that area. They've taken away all those coffee shops down there, and they've only got legal places where you can buy it, but not sit
Yeah.
down and have a smoke. And they used to have all these late night licenses, and they cleaned up the red light district. Yes, per lady, that's what we're talking about here. Even Amsterdam has changed completely. So gone are the days where you can go on holiday and carry on like a fool. I think the police have had enough of this kind of behavior, and it's just not necessary to get absolutely roaring drunk till you fall on the floor, flash your knickers, and let people take advantage of you, which
Yeah.
is what's been happening. But yes.
Okay. So the Breakfast Flight Show with myself, Sharky DJ, and HPQ of the news, as we do each and every Monday and Tuesday morning. And we have our matching GY radio tops on today.
Yes. And can you see Willow's made an
I
appearance?
can see. I can see that.
She hasn't made an appearance for a little while, has she?
No, she hasn't.
Yeah, well, she's up here today making a little fuss of herself here. As you can see, her white plume.
Sorry, I've been told, say, myself, Sharky DJ, and Lady HPQ.
Yes, please. I would like to be known as Lady now. That's correct. That's correct. That should be done. I agree. Now, what was we talking about here now? Now, a new story that's come in from around Wolverhampton. Sorry, let's get her plume down. Okay, so Neville Linden says he was left a bit shaken after he found a ladder snake inside of a bag of broccoli from Aldi, which has now been homed at Dudley Zoo. Imagine getting some food, getting ready in your kitchen, and you found a snake coming out of your broccoli. Now, he was given a fright. It was in Aldi's. He's from the West Midlands, this is. He had a scare when he noticed a young ladder snake at the supermarket last month. It was actually at the supermarket. He didn't take it home. He had been at the Stourbridge branch 3 days before the discovery. Oh, sorry, he did buy the bag in there. Okay, and he only found the snake when he got the bag of veg out to make a meal.
Wow.
And it was later taken to Dudley Zoo, where it was identified as actually a ladder snake. Imagine that. How?
A ladder snake,
Yes.
as in snakes and ladders.
Very funny. Very funny. That's
Come on, I was
Sharky's
quick on that
joke
one,
for
innit? I was
today.
quick on that one.
Yeah. He said he saw the little creature tucked up near the stem when he unwrapped the bag, and he thought it might have been a little caterpillar. But they identified it as a snake. They popped it in a tub, drove it back to the Aldi store, and they said the woman thought she was joking at first, but backed off when they saw it moving. So the guy in the shop was pretty frightened too. So, yeah, he's been offered compensation, but he's pushing for more.
Yeah, of course. You know, I want like a year's free shopping for that.
Something like that. Well, there's stores, they're notoriously bad at giving compensation. They won't give you much. We'll give you, 20 pence or something crazy like that, or £10.
So Miss Sugar Sweet, she says, stop it. Which one of the Aldi shops there? Which one of them? She wants to get compensation too. She
In
wants to claim
Stourbridge.
for a year free shopping.
In Stourbridge, that's where it was. That was where it happened. The Aldi shop in Stourbridge. Now, Aldi's rules up here. There's an Aldi on every corner. It's
There
crazy.
certainly
It
is.
really is. There really is up in the West Midlands. They are absolutely killing it. Now, ladder snakes are mostly found in Portugal, Spain, and northern France and parts of Italy. So where they're getting their foods from, that's where the snakes are. These snakes can be aggressive. They have a nasty little bite, but nothing more than that. They're not poisonous. And they're capable of letting off some kind of foul odor. So at the most, you'll have a stink smell around you and a slight bite.
Imagine one of them slithering around in your house, Imagine the thing got away and just slithered in his house somewhere. You know, which one would you prefer, the snake or the mice or the rats? Which one?
I think I could deal with mice more. Snakes, I don't know. Yeah, that slivery, slimy stuff, I think would upset me. I can't deal with that. I could deal with it. I could deal with mice. Yeah, I still don't like them, but I can deal with them. I can deal with bees, wasps, flies now. I used to go a bit crazy, but yeah, I'm all at one with them. And spiders. I'm not afraid of spiders at all. Most of the time, I let them live and take them out
Yeah.
somewhere.
Spiders will eat all the other insects, won't they? That's why they get big and fat. I mean, I must admit, the other day I was like lying down in my bed and I looked up on the roof. It's the first time I actually felt frightened. This thing was big. I mean, it was like, you know, and I looked at this thing, it was just a big black thing just above me. And I was like, imagine I'm sleeping like this and it decides to lower itself into my mouth. I had to get rid of it. But yeah, spiders actually quite. If you've got spiders in your house, it's actually supposed to be good luck, and it's supposed to be a good thing because they eat all the other little insects that are, you know, they prey on all the other insects,
Yeah,
and
and
they
when I leave
clean up
my
your
back
house of insects.
exactly, and when I leave my back door open, I kid you not, I get every fly, wasp, and everybody's sister, brother, and friends coming in. It's like it's a HPQ's house, it's free for all. Let's go. So I don't mind some spiders just hanging up in the corner for a week or two and getting rid of the little.
They just get the Hoover.
Yeah, then just let them out. I'm trying not to. I'm trying to be at one with nature. We are all here for a purpose, and killing them doesn't make it any easier. You
True.
know, they do things in life that enables us to live the life we have.
You
So
know,
we need to be more aware of the ecosystem
yeah.
and be more friendly.
Funny you should say that. I mean, I watch a lot of videos on YouTube. I watch a lot of things on insects, animal world, you know, fighting with crocodiles and alligators and all sorts of stuff. But there was this video that they had with kind humans and humans rescuing animals and stuff like that. And there was even one human rescued a little mouse from something and cleaned it up and let it go. It was trapped somewhere. And they, you know, all these little things, you know, nature that they just would not kill. And, you know, someone rescued a fox. And I kind of felt a little bit guilty when I saw that. I won't tell you why.
I don't
Because
want to
I'm
know.
not a lover of foxes.
Do you know? I come to appreciate foxes because they've not done me any harm. I used to live very near Big Near Park.
Have one in
Park.
your garden.
And foxes were prevalent around the area I was in. They used to
Mm.
always raid the bins and roam the streets from 6 o'clock in the evening or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You'd see them roaming, and they never troubled my cats.
Mm.
You know, Willow used to go outside and stand like looking at them. I hope she wouldn't go too far because those foxes are full of fleas. But what I realised is that I was putting my food waste in a bin and taking, and the waste people would come and take my food waste and dump it somewhere. And we've got all these foxes that are raiding out people's bins and coming into the urban area because they're hungry and their
Yeah.
homes have been taken away. So I used to literally take some of my food and put it out in the road, especially the food waste. Like if I did a chicken, I've got this chicken carcass and I'm putting it in the bin. It feels such a waste. So I used to leave it out for the foxes to eat.
Yeah, they will take it and eat it. Yeah. Yeah.
And they did majority of time. But you've got to make sure you put it quite away from your house because they defecate anywhere where they eat. And that's not nice. Any kind of defecation from any animal
Put it in a
is not nice.
neighbor's house that you don't like. That's what I say.
In it, spread it all around their
Spread it
garden.
all over spread it all front by their front door.
I'm telling you.
Is that wicked?
Well, it depends on your neighbour, really, doesn't it? There's some wickedness for you guys. So, you know what I mean? If your neighbour's carrying on real bad, just put some dead food in their garden and see what happens the next day. See how much
Yeah.
ants and maggots and flies turn up.
But talking about food, let's talk a bit about waste and, you know, the dustbin. I mean, you know, in this hot summertime now, the dustbin men should really be coming around and emptying out your bins once a week. But apparently for you, they're emptying bins like once every 2 weeks. How do you cope with that? Because obviously if you've got food in there, the smell and the stench over the 2 week period, you know, by the time they get to the bin, How would you deal with that?
Do you know it's illegal for them to do food waste collections every 2 weeks? I've read about it, but
Hmm.
Wolverhampton have put this in. There's no such thing as a food waste bin in Wolverhampton that I have seen. How do I cope with it? When they took the bin out just last week, there was a whole load of flies around my bin. Now I've got it empty so I can give it a hose wash. But
Yeah.
it's horrible. I don't like it. I'm so used to separating food waste that it seems unnatural for me to put food waste in with normal waste.
Yeah. I mean,
It
my
really is.
the bin collectors around they are so what's the word I want to use for them without having to use it on radio, but they are beginning with A. I'm just like, if this, in the recycle bin, like someone threw a bag of food and it was smelling the recycle bin, and they left the bin full just because that's in, and they will not take it. And to me, it's like, why should we be paying our money? And obviously, if somebody throws it in there, we've got this bin smelling up the place now just because it's got a bit of food in it. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
That's happened to me several times. Like if I've had a party that once, it's to my detriment, had a party, threw everything in the bin and they were just like, we
Mm.
ain't taking any of it. I literally had to take out the bin, empty the contents and separate everything bit by bit before I put it into the bin. But yes, per lady, yeah, washing bins is a cycle of mine as well. I can't stand dirty bins anyway. There's no need for a bin to be
Mm.
manky and nasty. Just get one of those big mops. Remember I was talking about a big mop the other day, Sharky?
Yeah,
And you put
yeah,
your water
you
in and
put,
that's how
yeah,
you kind of wash out your bins and then turn it upside down and
yeah.
leave it. But
So
Per Lady
Reds.
says, I'm glad I'm
Hmm.
not both your neighbours. The foxes didn't actually used to leave a mess. They ate everything. They used to leave the
Yeah.
streets clean. I'm telling you now.
Where
And
did you say you
obviously,
live again, per lady?
and Miss Sugar Seat says, the wolves fly love cat food. Listen, I don't know what it is about the flies in wolves. They are something serious. I've got this bat that I often run around with my house with electrocuting flies. Flies is the one thing I will kill. But I do give them a chance. You often hear me having conversations with them now. You've got a whole minute to come out through the door before I'm going to kill you. So I beg you, please leave because I don't want to kill you today. And then they mess around with me and fly around in my face and buzz around, even though the door's open. So then they got to die. And I take a little bit of deep joy in hearing that burning sound.
I'll tell you what, I bought one of these bats, these electrical bats, when I went to Jamaica, and it's a foldable one, and you're able to put it down. So obviously, in the night time, where my grandmother lives, my mum insisted on going to this country. Nobody lives there. We had to go there, clean it up. So you could imagine the amount of mosquito flies and all sorts. I leave this bat, and all night all you could hear the thing was so bad, it was smelling. Oh gosh. But
Yeah,
it,
'cause they burn, don't they?
they
They
burn, yeah.
literally.
It's like, especially for mosquitoes, but it was catching everything, moths, everything in there.
I think once I was in Jamaica and I sat down in my dad's garden, it's got a load of mosquitoes, and took the bat, it was at night, and just waved it in the air. And look at this for about 10 minutes. 10 minutes. And it's really nice actually. It's so bad. Mosquitoes, they gotta die. I don't care. Right? But they would brilliant. I don't know
But
what it is.
do you ever think that people come back as flies, mosquitoes, spiders, and all that, and these things? Mind what you mind what you wish for. We may end up coming back as an insect. It could be
I don't
people that was living in the house previously that said, look, finding their way home, or an ancestor or something. I don't know. Maybe we should stop killing insects. They have a right to live. They're put on here for a purpose, aren't they?
They are, but you know what? They're still a pest. I don't know if I'd like to come back as an insect. They don't have a very good
No,
life. Ants work really hard. You think we work hard? Ants work hard. They
they
live for the
do.
queen. They live just for the queen, willing to die for the queen and everything. They just work all day. Work at ants.
So, a
Work at
question for you,
bees.
right before we go into the break: when you come back, what do you want to come back as? A non-human,
Cat.
a cat?
Every time a cat.
Yeah, I thought as much.
A cat. I'm coming back as a cat. And Per Lady says, Lady HPQ. I thought it was only me giving anything flying indoors a chance first. No, it's me as well. I actually talk to them. I physically have a debate with them and give
She
them a
does.
chance.
She
I do.
does. She says, "You better get out of here now." She
Yeah,
does.
yeah, I do. So you're not the only one.
Oh dear. So we have some kind people on the show, and kind people. It just goes to show that that we're not all wicked human beings. You do have some wicked human beings, but we're not all wicked human beings.
Yes.
So, what time is it? 9:59. I think it's time to head for that ad break, don't you? And
Yeah,
we'll be
I'm gonna
back
go get a cup of
shortly.
tea.
Yeah, I've got this cup. Ooh.
Oh, sorry there. I just had to log into work. Make sure I haven't got anything just coming up just yet this morning. Well, anyways, we got some tips and some tips this morning. Now, I love tips. I love TikTok. TikTok keeps me up till 2 o'clock in the morning. I've got to start shutting my phone off now. But there are some great things on there that you can learn from that you otherwise wouldn't know or didn't put into practice. But hanging clothes. All right, we've got hangers and we don't make good use of hangers when we are hanging certain clothes. So I found this video that shows you how to hang certain clothes neatly so that they won't crease. This is actually quite amazing. So let me add this to the stream and let me play this hack for hanging clothes. Watch this.
The shape around the shoulders. Place the hanger in the middle of the sweater and thread each sleeve through it. This way, your sweater will never lose its shape. 2. Long coats are prone to wrinkles. Align the two sides and fold them inward. Thread the bottom of the coat through the hanger, fold it upward twice, and then hang it on the hanger. This saves space.
And that's brilliant.
3.
For traveling.
Fold the sweater in half and place the hanger at the armpit level.
Oh.
Flip the sleeves and the bottom hem over the hanger.
I think my internet's not loving streaming this video today.
4. Thread the bottom hem of the sweater through the hanger, then drape
It's not liking
It's
it.
definitely not like
both
it.
sleeves over the top and lift. 5. Hanging pants like this can cause them to deform and pop up. This way, they easily slip off. First, fold the pants.
No,
Yeah,
it's
my-
not liking it.
It's
No,
not liking it. It's not liking it. It's not liking it. Let's stop that.
Too much
But I'll
streaming there.
It's too much streaming. They're not liking this one. Let's just stop that for a minute, which is such a shame. What I'll do is I'll put the link into the chat room and I'll also put it into the Mixcloud. But it's a very good hack for folding up clothes. I love the coat one because I've got some long
Yeah.
coats.
Oh, yeah.
And I like the jumper one as well, especially when you've got those dresses where if you put the hangers in, you end up like this with your dresses when you're going out. So there's some really, really great tips there for people to take notice of. Now, another thing that's in the news right now is teachers. What's going on with the teachers in the country? We've got a dire situation going on where teachers are leaving the industry. And I think in 2021, we had the most teachers leave the profession. And there's a big shortage. There's supply teachers on. I mean, the rates for supply teachers is unbelievable as well to go in and teach for the day, but they are not teaching our kids merely. They're just merely covering the class. But they're saying now that a new Labour government would give teachers 2,400 in the very early stages of their career to try and stop them leaving the profession. And Labour says it will cost around 50 million a year. Now, nearly 1 in 5 teachers who qualified in 2020 have since quit, according to government figures. So they're trying to improve retention rates by giving them more money. But the situation in our school isn't about giving teachers more money. They need more money anyway, but the state of education needs a massive, massive overhaul.
Definitely.
And I think the control in the classrooms and the expectation of the teacher now is a little bit too much in terms of what they have to deal with and what they have to teach. And the boundaries that they have as well, the stringent rules, it's just all a bit too much. It's not worth it. It's not worth the stress of coming in and dealing with a rowdy group of children who have no respect for any authority whatsoever. How could you possibly do your job? And watching what teachers do, you don't teach, you shout at kids all day in some of these classrooms as well. So teaching is unbelievable. Classroom full of 30, 15 or 14-year-olds has got to be difficult for any person. So good on those who are teachers. Teachers and nurses, got to give thumbs up to them. You do a sterling job in the adversity that you face in this teaching world right now. Now, Per Lady says, I have friends who are teachers and trying to encourage me to go into teachers. She says, just cope on my own. It depends on what school you go to, what age level you're teaching and what you're teaching, all sorts of things. But some of these mainstream comprehensive schools, I don't know. They're like mini ball stools dealing with the kids in there.
Sometimes you have to wonder what actually has gone wrong with the schooling system and the way that teachers are, because back in the day, as we all know, most of us had respect for the teachers in school, but now, I mean, I don't think it helps with the way that some of the parents are, not giving the teachers a chance. And also you've got a lot of young teachers coming out with the inexperience of managing young people.
We've got so many young people in jobs where they are not experienced. It's not funny. Because what we did, we got rid of experience over qualifications. So we've got people who are qualified. I've got my degree. But in terms of them and their ability to do their jobs correctly, there's further training that's absolutely 110% needed. And it's difficult.
And I mean, I know someone who's a teacher's assistant without the degree, and she said to me that she did most of the teaching in her class and managed the class better than the teacher, because obviously she's older and the teacher coming in are younger. And she was just saying, that it was just ridiculous how a lot of the teachers also leave some of the classes to the teacher's assistants. So they're getting paid all the money and the teacher's assistants are doing the work. So
I know. And the teaching assistants, sorry, one of my battery levels was going. And the teaching assistants, yeah, they do it, and they don't get paid as much as the teachers. They're on a poor salary like carers. They're not paid a very good salary at all. So I can understand any teaching assistant getting upset about that, because the pay structure around that is really not sufficient. I did it once thinking, oh yeah, I can go into to be a SEN assistant, help our struggling black kids in classrooms. And it was heart-wrenching at the best of times to watch how many black kids couldn't understand what was going on in the lesson and therefore just left to their own devices. Now, I would have like 1 or 2 children that I'd have to keep an eye on, and invariably I'd end up helping 10 or 12 children because they struggled with the speed with the class that was going on, especially if they didn't understand what was going on. And that's the problem. If you've got a couple of kids, if you've got 10 kids that don't understand what goes on, the teacher just goes on regardless. And they're the ones that stop listening, stop doing work, because obviously, and then they start falling behind, and then no one takes no notice of them. They sit in the back of the class and the teacher just tells them off for being disruptive and doesn't bother with them. That's what happens. They're just not bothered with, and they come into class and just end up skipping class after a while. The system just doesn't work.
It
just doesn't work
anymore. Yeah.
It just,
unfortunately, if you want your child or grandchild educated, it's more about the private education now, guaranteed. Saturday schools, you find a lot of the kids that went to Saturday schools came out a lot brighter and definitely more structured in life than a lot of the kids that's gone to some of the comprehensive schools.
and I think so. And I remember, Saturday schools were great in our day, because I think our parents were realizing that the children wasn't taught properly in mainstream schools. And so a lot of us that grew up did go to a Saturday school, and we did go to Sunday school and church, but we don't have that kind of tradition anymore. And it's such a shame that the black community doesn't come together. The Indians do it, the Muslim community does it. They teach them about their own heritage, cultures, traditions. They have to go to the mosque, to wherever they go to. But we don't do that a lot with black children. Some do, don't get me wrong, some do. I'm not dismissing all black people, but it's not prevalent. It's not the majority, and it needs to be the majority. People need to see that we are educating our black children, not leaving them by the wayside. We need to do more in our communities. We really, really do. And it's time to stop just looking up and looking at what everyone else is doing. We need to get our SHIT together.
Yeah, definitely.
And start looking after our kids. Good morning, Lady B. Good morning,
Lady
you.
B. I had a lovely chat with Lady B yesterday. we was on the phone for about half an hour, chatting away about certain things, which was a great topic, but I won't talk about that now. Maybe we'll do a show on it one day.
Okay. Now, talking about education, have you been listening to the news about what's been happening in America in education?
No, I haven't seen that.
Okay. So affirmative action, remember in America put in a stance called affirmative action, whereby the priority was to give black people a chance and jobs, and they were to be looked at first over candidates because of the disparity in that. particularly in education and particularly schools like Harvard
Yeah.
and Stanford and places like that. Now, the US Supreme Court ruled this week that race can no longer be considered a factor in university admissions. And just to be clear, affirmative action as a whole isn't just cancelled, it's just the race part that the court is actually gutting. Now, affirmative action has always been decisive in America, but two recent cases involving Harvard and the University of North Carolina are the people that finally killed it. And I think some of the student associations took it to task, found some kind of law or something, and decided that they were going to take it to the Supreme Courts and get rid of it. Because what they were saying is that they were bringing in black people who weren't that qualified and getting them into places like Harvard. And so other races were being left out because of this. And that's what they said was actually unfair. However, I've been watching some Twitter news about it. I saw a prominent black woman talk about the fact that she got her university place in Harvard because of affirmative action. And it was literally because she said Harvard came looking for her. She was a top A-class student. They came looking for her, as well as some other high black figures that had gone through Harvard in this way. And if it wasn't for that, then they wouldn't have had the jobs that they have. But it wasn't because that they were underqualified or that they wasn't educated enough. They were exceptionally bright, but they would have never had the chance to get into Harvard otherwise. And that's what people are saying. Harvard is full of if your grandfather or your parents went to Harvard or your brothers and sisters, you're going to get a place in Harvard. If you make big donations to Harvard, you're going to get a place in Harvard. Harvard is all about money. Who can pay them the most money to get their kids in? Who has the most titles? Who's more famous? But if you're like a person like myself, who could be highly educated, you will not get into Harvard.
It's a little bit like Eton, isn't it? And Oxford and
Old
Cambridge. I mean,
money.
you have the, it's all at the old school, the old guard, And this a similar conversation I was having with Lady B yesterday, talking about the education system and getting into these universities.
Yeah. But the worst thing is this racial stereotyping of what's going on in America. It was pitting blacks against Asians, and there is a thing with blacks against Asians anyway, and it did with the black and Asian community there, and this affirmative action, the Asian students felt that they were being disadvantaged in college as well, in terms of admissions in favor of black students. So you had the Asian community kicking up arms as well. And I saw on Twitter, there was a Chinese lady that was just like really happy and saying, yeah, now, our kids can get proper education without it going just to black people. But if you look at the figures in terms of black people getting places in Harvard, it's so small. It's unbelievable. So I don't understand. Black students only make up 10% of incoming class. 10%. 10%. That was actually in Yale. I was just talking about 10% was just there. So I don't understand. I feel like there's a backlash towards black people at the moment. Well, I feel like we're being pushed further and further back. We're taking 2 steps forward and 4 steps backwards in everything that we're doing. Racism is so real, it's not even funny. And then even watching the news about the police commissioner in France, he was saying there's no institutional racism within the French police. The British said that, and then they had the Macpherson report that turned around and said there is institutional racism. Look at the Windrush scandal. We look at all the scandals that happen around black people. Come on, it's there. But anyway, I'm going to jump off that bandwagon. Yeah. I got to. So maybe I should just bring one more bit of news before we go, because I've missed so much going on there. I'm so sorry, everybody.
There's always tomorrow.
There's
always tomorrow. It's another day if life spares.
Well, talking about that, if life spares, when it's time to go, it's time to go. And when it's time to go, what are you going to do for your funeral? So, remember that I did a show on funeral costs and everything. I'm going in a wicker basket. Well, I'm not going in a wicker basket. I told you already, my body's going to medical science. But with the soaring costs of funerals, I think people are starting to look mindful Lee, at what the best costs are, because you find that our generation or our parent generation used to save up for their funeral, right? So leave all this money in the bank to say, here's 12 or 10,000 pounds to spend on my funeral. And I used to think, why would you spend 10,000 pounds on your funeral? Do you know what I mean? But
It's
that's their
ridiculous
right.
waste, isn't it? Yeah.
That is their right. White doves, carriage, white horses. It's just not necessary. You're not going to see it. You're just not going to see it yourself. So me personally, I want to do something for the sake of science, let my body go somewhere. And I would have been cremated anyway, so my body would have just been burnt.
But you know what? We actually don't know what we're going to see when we pass away. We really do not know what the future, what it holds for us on the other side. We don't know if it's back to the earth, or we don't know if there's the soul that's there. We're told that, but we actually don't know.
Well, if your soul is there, it's certainly not going to be in a dead body,
You don't
right?
know.
That's
You might be
mangled up.
floating over, watching everybody going on and thinking, yes.
So if you're floating over, the orifice that you're in clearly just needs to go. So it doesn't really matter. That's how I think of it. If it's in the well, some people are religious, so I shouldn't really dispel those thoughts. But anyway, a new type of cremation is coming, and this is what set me off on the conversation: water cremation.
Water.
Water cremation is set to be available for the first time in the UK. Now, the process known as resomation uses a mix of potassium hydroxide and water to break down the human remains in what is billed as more as a sustainable option. It takes 4 hours. All right, the bones remain and are powdered and then returned to the loved ones in a similar way to ashes in an urn. Now, resomation is used in Canada, South Africa, and many US states. Now, it will be the first alternative way to dispose of a body in the UK since the introduction of what they call the Cremation Act in 1902, and Co-op Funeral Care will be the first to offer it starting later this year. Now, the company British Resomation, which supplies the equipment, claims the process produces a third less greenhouse gas than cremation and uses a seventh of the energy also. Now, according to the founder, the liquid used in resomation is safely returned to the water cycle free from any traces of DNA, which is probably the thing that people might be concerned about. Now, anti-apartheid campaigner Archbishop Desmond Tutu chose this process for his funeral arrangements in South Africa when he died in the late 2021. Now, what she's saying and what people need to realize is that land for funerals, for burials, is running out. We don't have enough cemetery space to have all of these graves held there for the amount of people that are dying, especially when it hit COVID times. So we have to find alternatives. Not everyone can be buried. And if people want to be buried, there's a lot of people that are being dug up. So don't forget, some bodies are dug up.
Yeah.
Or bodies laid on top of bodies laid on top. So once it's old, they just push them down and then pile up others on top. That's not the way that I want to see my future. You're lying there and you're seeing a box on top of you. Just burn me and spread me out to the wind, yeah? But as I said, land for burials is running out, and it costs a lot to bury people. Do you know how much it costs for a plot to bury? Do you know? It's several thousands of pounds. It really, really is a lot of money. And I would rather leave my money to my grandchildren and to my family that needs it. And if my family are carrying on bad, it's going to a Cats Protection League. That's where it will all go. Yeah, the house will go and the money will go to the Cats Protection League, and then no one will see a penny of it. But anyway, that's the HPQ news. I'm so sorry there was a gap there. We'll be back tomorrow with Rudy Liquid. I'm going to leave you to sound off the rest of the show, SharkyDJ. Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks for listening to HPQ News with Lady HPQ, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Oh, great. I think I've got time to fit in one more. It's 9:55. And thank you very much, HPQ. Great talking about ending the show on funerals.
Don't forget. Just don't forget who I am. Do you know who I am? That's what I'm going to start using. Start showing my certificate. Do you know who I am?
Official certificate. I still can't believe it. Anyway, Lady Alison Thomas, or Lady
Yes.
HBQ.
Listen, by the way, Lady B, I'm officially a lady, right? You've got that name just by the moniker. I am officially a lady. I'll send you the link.
I told her. I think she's checking it out. She's actually going to call herself Lady Bosse. Yeah. That's what I was just saying. It's just, it's like anybody's going to become that now, Lady, imagine traveling. It's like.
Oh, Lady B says she signed up for it already. Great. I am going to frame
There
it.
you go. There you go. Anyway, we'll see you tomorrow morning.
The Breakfast Flight Show with HPQ News on GY Radio.